Hey everybody, I'm Chef Tom with atbbq.com, and this is garlic knots in the Clementino wood-fired oven. Well, today we're gonna do some baking in the wood-fired oven. We're making garlic knots, which are essentially just cheesy little buttery, garlicky breadsticks tied up into knots. They're fantastic, delicious, and really pretty easy to pull off, especially if you're already gonna be baking up a bunch of pizzas for dinner. So the first thing we're gonna do is put together our dough. Now to keep everything simple, we're just gonna use our regular pizza dough, just like if you're doing pizza night. So flour, water, salt, yeast, really easy. We're gonna scale it all right into our mixing bowl. So we're gonna start with 325 grams of warm water. And when I say warm, I mean like 110 to 115 degrees. Perfect. And then we're gonna go with our yeast. Now this is a dry active yeast. We need 5 grams of our yeast just spread across the top of the surface of the water. And then we're gonna let that sit for about 5 minutes just to start to kind of bloom and develop. You'll already notice it starting to foam around the sides. We're just looking for it all to kind of get saturated and just start to foam up a little bit. So now we're gonna add 500 grams of our double-aught pizza flour. And we're gonna top it off with 10 grams of our kosher sea salt. And that's it. Set it up on the KitchenAid with the hook attachment, second speed. We're gonna wait for about a minute for this dough to kind of form a ball to pull away from the sides, and we're gonna set an 8-minute timer to let it knead and mix for 8 full minutes. All right, 8 minutes is up. We are going to transfer our dough to an oiled container. You could use a bowl or a plastic container like this one we're using today. Just gonna hit it with a little bit of olive oil to prevent any sticking. Then I wanna transfer my dough right in there, throw a lid on it, and let it rise until it's doubled in size. Now while we're waiting on that dough to rise, we're gonna go ahead and fire up the wood-fired oven. And today we're cooking on the Clementino by Clementi. It's a little guy, but it's a really great oven. We want to stabilize it around 600 degrees eventually, but to start out, we're actually gonna build the fire right in the middle of the deck to get that stone hot. So we're gonna start with some smaller splits. This is pecan wood that we're using today. Oak is a great option as well. Hickory would work. Fruit wood's not as great just because they burn up so fast in a wood-fired oven. We're gonna do a little like log cabin action here. And we'll throw some even smaller splits in there to help get it going. All right, so let's just let that get started. Once that burns down, crumbles into a pile, we'll move it off to the side. All right, so our dough is doubled in size now. We're gonna turn it out onto our work surface. We're gonna portion this out 1.5 ounces each. That's not what you want. I mean, you can eyeball this if you want to, but it's a good way to make sure you get, you know, all 18 or so that you're gonna try and get out of this one batch. All right, so we're gonna hit our work surface with just a little bit of flour. I'm gonna take each one of these portions and I'm just gonna fold them over like I'm making a tiny little baguette right here. And we're gonna roll them out. Right about that length, 6-ish inches. Take that and tie it in a knot. Tuck the ends underneath just like that, and that's how they're gonna sit. And then we'll transfer these to a parchment lined sheet paper here to rest here in just a minute. So again, we're just kind of folding that over, making ourselves a little baguette. Try and make it even as possible, and then tie it in a knot. All right, we've got them all tied up now. I'm gonna move them over to the sheet pan. And we're gonna get these covered up with a little plastic wrap and just give them some time to kind of rest and relax. They're gonna do a little bit more proofing, pop back up a little bit, and they'll be ready to bake. Well, you can see that our fire is fully broken down all the way down to coals now. So we're gonna slide in our rack and move all of this off to the left side. And then we're gonna sweep the deck clean, just moving any debris over to the side where the fire is. And we'll be cooking our knots over here to the right. Go ahead and get a little bit more wood on here. Keep that fire going. And at this time, we're gonna go ahead and make our garlic butter right here in the oven. So we're gonna start with a 1/2 cup of unsalted butter. We're gonna add a 1/2 cup of extra virgin olive oil. Then we're gonna grate our garlic right here into the skillet over the microplane. If we're measuring, we want about 1 tablespoon of this essentially turns into garlic paste. And we break that down super fine so that it just melts into this like garlic butter sauce that we're making. The final ingredient we're gonna add is a little bit of Cattleman's Grill Italiano seasoning. We'll do about 1 tablespoon of that. So we're just gonna throw this right into the oven. We don't wanna scorch the garlic, so that's why we're starting with slightly softened butter, because we don't want this to be in there for too long. Starting to get everything melted down here. Just sizzling just a little bit. We'll let it go just a little bit longer, but it's only been on for, I don't know, 2 minutes or so. It doesn't take much. Yeah, we got a good sizzle going on now. We're just trying to cook the raw out of that garlic. That's all that we're doing here. Infusing that garlic flavor into the oil and butter. That foaminess is really nice. I don't want to go much further than this. In fact, I'm going to pull it now because I know it's going to stay hot. Well, our knots are looking good. They've proofed up again. I'm going to flour the peel and get them into the oven. It's easiest to do this in batches. I might even just do 3 at a time here. The oven's sitting at about 600 degrees over to the right. We can kind of manipulate these a little bit once we get them in there. I'm going to go ahead and throw another stick on so we can get a little flame over the top. Let's throw the lid back on for now and let these cook for a couple minutes to start to brown. Now we've really got our flame coming back. These are looking good. A little bit browned on the bottom. Not quite brown enough on top yet, so we'll move some of those a little bit closer. Take that guy out. Now that's looking really good. That's about what we're going for. Just lightly browned on the surface. This point should be cooked all the way through. So as these start to brown, we're gonna pull them off. We'll kind of just rotate some more in as we go. Oh yeah, those are looking pretty. Oh yeah, just a little golden brown on these. The ones closest to the fire are pretty close to being done. The rest of these we're gonna give a spin. But these don't take long. It's under 5 minutes to cook them all the way through. The trick is really just maneuvering them, getting the color you want on them. Make sure you're keeping that deck clean so they're not sitting on top of burnt flour, and then making room for your next batch. We got the last of the knots coming off now. Fairly quick. I mean, I think probably about 10 to 15 minutes total time to get through all those rounds. Of course, what we have here right now is just pizza dough in the shape of a knot. So we've got to get all of our seasonings, our garlic, butter, a little cheese on these. So let's head back over to the table to finish them off. So we're gonna dress our garlic knots now. Need a little bit more room in here, so we'll do it by the halves here. We're gonna take our garlic butter that we made earlier and just drizzle that over the top. And then knees can kind of soak all that up, get fully coated in it. And then we'll put them on our serving platter. So that's going to be our bottom layer. We'll also go ahead and dress those with some Parmesan now. That fine powdered stuff. You know it tastes good. We'll pile them high. Again, a bit of that Parmesan. And you can stop right there, and these will be delicious. But I have to tell you about this because I found it recently. This white pizza mojo seasoning is incredible. It's like Italian seasoning with Parmesan and a yeast extract that just makes the flavors pop. So good. All right, let's get a taste. Man. A lot of flavor on the outside of that. Still some good texture. Even though we soaked it in that garlic butter, there's just a little bit of crunch on the bottom. And then inside, just so doughy. Pillowy, soft pizza dough. Man, that's fantastic. You could serve that with a little marinara on the side, ranch dressing, whatever your guests like. But that's a great little appetizer. And now the pizza oven's fired up. You can go ahead and cook your pizzas for dinner. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check out atbbq.com for all the products featured in today's video. If you enjoy the video, hit that subscribe button. And if you have any questions or comments or there's anything you'd like to see me cook, let me know in the comment section down below, and let's be good to one another. For more recipes, tips, and techniques, head over to atbbq.com/thesauce. All things barbecue, where barbecue legends are made.